Hi guys, so a bunch of you have been writing in and asking me more about the eFormula and how does this wholesale model work. So I thought I would do another video, and I'm just going to share my screen because I prepared a few things for you here that are going to help. We'll go to Amazon a little bit later, but for now I just want to show you a presentation I put together to help keep me on track and cover everything I want to cover. Because this e-model, this eFormula, I really do believe that it is what they're saying here. It's the simplest and most effective way to build a successful online business. I don't know about ever devised, but it's pretty darn good right now, especially for 2024. And basically, it sounds confusing, doesn't it? This wholesale and the buy box and being a reseller and suppliers and all of that. And I know the premise of the business model can get confusing. So I wanted to just simplify it. And what it is you're buying low and you're selling high. And in essence, what those two things mean is that you're buying at wholesale and you're selling at retail. And it really is that simple. And one thing that I think a lot of folks don't know is that there are already a whole bunch of different resellers on Amazon of one product. Many of the products that you'll see on there actually are sold by multiple people. You might wonder, why does Amazon allow that, right? But they do. And once you understand why, it makes perfect sense. Their main objective is to have the best experience for the customer, right? And one way to not have a great experience for the customer is for a product to run out of inventory. And it happens all the time because it's a really tough thing and dicey thing as a private labeler to keep your product in inventory all the time. So this is one reason that they would want that. And it's just another way that they're able to keep all the inventory in stock and make sure that there's never a time when it's almost out or there's only one remaining. Do you ever see those little signs on the side? There's only 3 more in stock. You better hurry up and order. Because maybe somebody's going to go somewhere else and order and go off Amazon or go to the brick and mortar. So it makes sense why they would want to do it. It's 100% endorsed by Amazon. They like it. They want it this way. And it's completely ethical and accepted by everybody. So you're not doing anything wrong. So basically what you do with this system is you start out by picking your product and figuring out what you want to start selling. In the old way that you had to do it with the manual system, you had to then not only go through reams and reams of products and crunch numbers and try to figure out where's there an opportunity and try and uncover that. But then you had to take it a step further and actually find out who is the supplier or the brand owner and get in touch with them to find out if they would allow you to be a reseller, if they would sell you products at wholesale and then let you go ahead and do that. And that can be really tedious and really time consuming to do. And quite frankly, in the other wholesale formula program, I just said it, that you've probably heard about before, it's called the wholesale formula. It's another training program that's been around for years on the wholesale, on how to do this business model. That's the biggest stumbling block that people come up against, because it can just weigh you down and get to you after a while. When you're continuing to put effort in and you're working at it and not getting results back, it can be really disheartening. And a lot of folks can't pick up and carry on and they just give up. Right? So that's what's great about the eFormula, this new program, because it completely bypasses that. And this cannot be underestimated, because it means the difference between you or somebody, an entrepreneur, like going forward and trying this thing and succeeding and giving up. So it really is a big deal. So after you've chosen your product in the manual way, and tried to find a supplier who's going to sell to you, then you would purchase whatever amount you agreed, you negotiated with them to get, and have it sent into Amazon, into FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon, into their warehouse where you pay the fee to Amazon to store it and fill it. And then you basically click on your store and you start getting sales because of the buy box. And the thing is now, and I'll explain more about the buy box too, because it might seem complicated, but it's really simple. What you do now with the eFormula is there's a buyer's club. Instead of you combing through the listing pages and trying to spot and find that one diamond in the rough, you can now look on the buyer's club and find reams of products that are already selling well. What you do now is instead of going through all the listing pages and trying to find the one diamond in the rough, you go onto this buyer's club, which is probably one of the best features about the eFormula, because in that buyer's club, you will have, right now, my understanding is there's 4,000 products that have already been pre-vetted and are just waiting for the new students to come in and pick. I'm going to do that one and that one and that one. And I'll explain more about how it works in a second. But after you do that, you click that you want to order it, and it immediately will get sent to the warehouse that Aidan has already leased. It's a 40,000 square foot warehouse in Texas, which is very strategically located, and it will get sent in to Amazon in due course. So it all gets done for you, which is beautiful because it's really quite hands off. So when that's one of the main shortcuts, is that buyer's club. And this is a little bit of a page here down at the bottom of what the pages look like. I'm just going to blow that up and show you. So he's going to have page after page after page of products that his team has already spent more than a year combing through and finding opportunities. So you can also sort this result and filter it. But basically what you're going to do is then have a look, and you've got all the main information you need right here on this page. But the second main shortcut that the eFormula has is his private warehouse that I just explained to you, because it now means that you can literally do this from anywhere in the world, because up until this, you had one of 3 options. You could either order your product and send it in directly into Amazon and fulfill by Amazon as FBA. You could have taken your product and sent it into another third-party provider who's going to store and fulfill it for you, like Aidan is going to do, or you could have sent it to your house if you lived in the States, and you could have had the boxes in your living room, your garage, your basement, and just sort of really operated the business out of there. Now this option really opens up the door for people everywhere in the world, and it just makes it so much easier and seamless. And then the third shortcut that there is that it's all done for you, and he's got a team of more than 15 people who are already working on this business model for him, because he sells like 300,000. I guess that's what's highest month yet, is 300,000 under this formula. So he's already been in e-commerce e-commerce for 15 years, from what I understand, and has a lot of relationships developed already with key players in that industry, especially with the suppliers in the States. And that's another huge advantage that eFormula students will get, is that you will have access to products and suppliers that you wouldn't otherwise get the time of day from, because you're just, Heather Farrell in her, basement trying to make a go of it, and the suppliers don't even want to take your call because you got no cred. You don't have to worry about that because Aidan's already done it for us and kicked open those doors, and they're all waiting for you, literally. That is a huge, huge perk. So, the done for you aspect of this training is incredible. And the suppliers, the product catalogs, they've already identified winners for you, but you will be taught how to do that. So you can do it on your own as well. Purchasing of the products happens automatically. You don't actually have to do that. You click a button and it happens. Obviously, you're going to set things up behind the scenes and already have your credit card linked into his software so that you're paying for it, and then he takes it from there. But it's really amazing that you don't have to worry about any of the legwork that we had to do before, including shipping products and the warehousing and logistics. Another thing that is excellent under this system that you no longer have to worry about is, setting up corporations and operating under a corporate veil. You don't need to do that now. You can just completely go forward and operate under the eFormula banner. You don't need that. You don't need a website or to try and make yourself look like you're a legit, long-term wholesale buyer and reseller of products. It just, all happens behind the scenes for you. And all these things, these stumbling blocks that would get people stopped and trip you up, because now you're wondering about how are you going to come across, and is there going to be rejection, and are people going to take you seriously, and all that kind of stuff that literally holds people back is gone. You don't even have to worry about it anymore. So that's fantastic. And yeah, the quick recap. Well, we haven't gone that far that you need a recap yet, but you choose your product from your buyer's club. It gets sent to the warehouse, and then it gets sent to Amazon from there, and you're good to go. And again, what the buyer's club does is it eliminates your needing to search and find these winning products, because not every product that's listed on Amazon, what are there? Oh, many millions. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but of all those products, they're not all going to be good candidates for this. And there's a set of criteria that you will be taught that will, when the boxes are ticked, it's going to give you the filtered shortlist of the products that are going to be profitable. Because if you didn't use that tick list, you're going to maybe pick some products here and there that are just not going to make you any money, and there's no point. You're just, spinning your wheels. So that's what this does for you too, is you will learn that, but you don't have to utilize it immediately, which is part of the reason why the startup time is so fast with this, because not only are you going to get to be taught how to do this, but you're also going to just be able to literally open up this catalog and start going. You don't have to necessarily take 6 or 8 weeks of each module of the course to learn and do your training. You could open up this catalog and get going right away. So, there's some people who are, within a couple of weeks, you've got products that are selling, which is pretty cool. There's not very many businesses that have that quick of a turnaround. It just, there's usually a lot more to do at the front end and to learn, quite frankly, before you can actually be, ready to go, ready to flip your switch on. But one of the big things that this does is it eliminates the guesswork, right? Because you're not just relying on and wondering, if I really learned everything, did I forget anything? Am I missing anything? Is this one too good to be true because I just found it? And why aren't a million other people on this one already? It eliminates all of that second guessing yourself, because you're new, but the system is there, and it's been built from decades of, experience, expertise, knowledge, good moves, bad moves, mistakes, wins, all of it, right? It's all already built into that. So you don't have to go through it yourself. So yeah, you can build a business faster and get going. But again, this is the actual, like a screenshot of the actual buyer's club that you will have access to. And it says here there's thousands, and I happen to know there's 4,000 handpicked products that meet the criteria that are going to be a winner. And they have spent a year putting this together. The team of people that are working behind the scenes are actually going to be your team and your support team that are 24/7 and ready to help you whenever you need it, at whatever stage of the process that you need help with, because there's a lot going on. Fortunately, it's not all on your shoulders like it is in the manual model or in private label. So yeah, it's saying here they've already created the agreements with the suppliers, so you don't have to register or get on their roster or get pre-approved or any of that, which is great. All you got to do is pick the product and go. And here's the close-up I want to show you. So let me just move my picture over some more and enlarge this, because we can get a lot of information off of here. So here's 2 products that came up on this page here, right? And it tells you a lot, because on this one, you can see that the minimum order quantity is only 10 units. So the wholesale price is $15. So if you did that minimum order quantity and you bought 15, you'd be paying $150. So to purchase your initial order of wholesale products that you're going to sell at higher than that, and that's where you're going to make the money, is in between those two, what you pay and what you sell it for, right? Minus some fees, and I'll talk about that too. But and those are from Amazon. But with this, you can see right here very clearly what your numbers are basically going to look like. You're going to go through more cross-checking to figure out what your profit would be and what you can expect to get for a return over what period of time using other tools. But this is a great place to start, because it gives you the information you need. And you can see that here's your filters. You can filter by category, price, and order quantity. That was the other one I forgot, because maybe you don't want to have a higher order quantity. Maybe you just want to get started slow and low and then ease your way into it, which would be totally fine. And if you did that, you started out and you went through your first 1 or 2 cycles, and you bought 10, you sold 10, one, you bought 10 more, maybe you got another product in there too. By the time you've done that, then you get a little bit more confidence, right? Because you can see this thing is actually working and it's happening. Then you maybe order more or start getting into a higher priced product where the margins are probably higher. And it also shows you here what your maximum order quantity is if they have one. So these guys won't allow you to buy more than 100. So that's fine. If you wanted to look at this vacuum, that is the number that's crossed out, by the way, is the retail. So they're saying this vacuum would retail for $500, and this face cream, I think it is, boosting serum, is selling for 21. Those numbers might be slightly different on Amazon once you get in there and you see on the listing page, and you can, that's part of your due diligence and process, and you'll be checking that to be sure. But with the vacuum, it's got a minimum order quantity of 5, so that's a substantially higher capital outlay, isn't it? If you have to buy 5 of these things, you're looking at $1,500, whereas this one you're looking at $150. So it's quite a stark difference. And there's going to be other ones in between and higher and lower. But that's how simple this thing is in the beginning. And let's just go to the next one. I actually want to go online to Amazon and look at this particular example because it will explain a lot in terms of why does Amazon allow this and how does it work with multiple sellers on one product? And because it's something to do with the buy box. And I know that it can sound and be a little bit confusing. So let's just go on here. Here I am on Amazon, and I did pull it up a little earlier. So I'm just going to click right there and pull it up fresh in front of you. This is the DeWalt 20-volt max cordless hedge trimmer for $219. And you see a lot of information on this page here because they're telling you right off, you can see that it's a 4.5-star product, which is great. You want it, whatever products you're going to be doing this with, you want it to be at least 4-star, I would say, maybe even 4.5 would be your minimum. You can set your criteria. It's also got over 2,500 reviews and ratings, which is great, right? I mean, it helps too that it's a brand name. That's a nice little touch there. But in this example, you can see that when I pulled it up, if you look over here on the side, it says it's who it's sold by, right? And right here, it says Tool Up. I hope you can see that. I'll see if I can just blow that up. There we go. Ships by Tool Up, sold by Tool Up. That's the name of the company that's actually got the buy box this time. Because what the buy box is, and again, it's allowed and it's in place on purpose by Amazon. They want it. They set it up this way intentionally so that the idea is hoping that this product will never get out of inventory. You'll never come here and see 0 in stock. Because what happens if you see 0 in stock, you run down to Home Depot or Lowe's and you buy it in person, right? And that's what Amazon does not want. So they know Tool Up. Who knows? They might be limited on people. They might only have one team member. They might be limited in numbers, resources, how much money they have to put into how much inventory they can buy at one time. They might only have 10 of these themselves or 2 of these. So they know they need to let more than one person sell this same product for that reason. And so how do we know? What do we know about this buy box? If you just scroll down a little bit further, you can see that there's this thing here. It says new and used, and it's got 13 written there, right? From $179 and up. So if we click on that, which I will click on it, it's new and used. So that means if you bought one, you could sell it here is what it means. Or if you got one on sale or you found one at the, I don't know what, at the thrift store or something for a really good deal, there used to be a little link, like all these hyperlinks on the page. There used to be one that said have one to sell. So I'm not sure how you do that anymore at this point in time, but it doesn't matter because we don't need to know that. But anybody could sell on this listing page that somebody created, whether it was DeWalt themselves or a third-party person. So what you do from here is if we look into the new and used, and I'll move this picture over because it's going to block everything. I am going to filter by new because I don't want all these. Well, let me just scroll first and show you. I don't want all these used ones in here first because that's definitely not the model we're doing here with this business model. We're not doing anything with used products at all. So let's just get rid of the used ones and filter only by new. And what it's saying right now is we've got 8 people right now. So that means there's 8 sellers on this listing page for this product that are allowed and are sharing in a piece of the pie. Now there is, this product is selling X amount of units for X amount of dollars every single day, week, and month. And there is a software program, or it's not even a program, it's like an app, or it's a little software add-on, an extension that you can get. And there's a free version of it too. It's called Jungle Scout that I should have put it on here. But when you have it on and you pull up a listing page, it'll tell you what the estimated sales volume is, how many units it says that it thinks that it's selling. And it will even give you a graph, which might be a pro version, a paid version feature, but it will even give you a graph to show you how this thing sells seasonally. And a hedge trimmer in North America is going to probably not sell as well in the winter. So that's something to consider, right? If that's what you're kind of thing you're going to get into is going to be a seasonal product. But anyway, let's go back to our buy box here and take a closer look at how this works, because we've filtered by new, and you can see that we've got 8 sellers, and the first guy's name here is JB Tool, so that's number 1. Then we've got Acme, number 2. Then we've got Fleet Tool, number 3. Toolbar, number 4. JVL Tools, number 5. Tool Up, which is what we're on, number 6. There's something called Champion Values, number 7. And here's Cabin World, number 8. So those are right now all the sellers on this page. And what happens is every time somebody clicks on this page, this buy box gets rotated. So right now it's Tool Up, right? Tool Up is the one who came when we clicked on it, and they were down. It doesn't matter where they are on the list because it's revolving constantly. It's not a top to bottom list at all. But Tool Up was it's right here. So let's see what happens if we go and get the URL and we save it and we go to a new browser. because you can't do it on the same one. It knows what your IP address is and it'll just give you the same one. But if we go to a whole new browser and put this listing page in, again, JB Tools came up on the next one. When we came to the next browser, you see that? But there you can see how the buy box works, because the Amazon is rotating all these sellers every time somebody clicks on this, a new IP address comes and clicks on this list. So what it means is these 8 people are all going to share whatever the proceeds are from this listing page. So when you look at the tool and you are able to evaluate what the average number of sales are and how much they're actually selling, you can then predict, you see, how much you believe you're going to make from this one. And of course, it's not a guarantee, and it will most likely change. It certainly can, and it most likely will change. And that's something that you just have to be prepared for. And I'll talk more about it at the end when I'm talking about what could go wrong with this business model, because there's only a couple of things, not that much. But basically, this is why you are able to sell high converting products that you do not have to pay a dime in traffic or ads to get eyeballs on to buy your offer, because all you're doing is identifying. You're being very clever, and you're finding that great diamond in the rough like this one. You're setting yourself up where you're able to buy that inventory at wholesale and sell it on this already ranked listing page for retail. And then you get to capture that difference in price and keep it. And that's why this business model is so beautiful. And I hope that that can really clear up for you and understand how this works and why it's possible. And that it's completely legitimate. It's 100% endorsed, even not just condoned, but endorsed by Amazon. And it's a model that has been used for probably since the inception of time of the, goods being sold, because why not? When you look around in the brick and mortar world and in stores and you see various products, and sporting goods are a really good example of that. When you can see, like that Wilson football being sold, it's going to be for sale in numerous stores, right? All over the world, well, all over your city. Why is that? Why would Nike sell their runners in multiple stores and let other people wholesale or retail them for them? Why would they sell wholesale? Why would Adidas sell their runners wholesale to a store or a person to let them sell it for retail? And it's because you can, get access to a much wider range of people, a much bigger audience, and probably sell a lot more. And it certainly is brand recognition. But somebody else is going to have access to a different market that maybe you don't, is another reason why. Like, there's a lot of darn good reasons, and that's why we see it in the real world happening all the time. So that's maybe not a question that we need to really overanalyze. It just happens, and it has, and it will continue to. So this is, with the hedge trimmer, that is a great example. And they've shown the buy box here on this example too. But what you ultimately want to do, and I don't know why the screen is so dark, is set up multiple products like that. Get that hedge trimmer under your belt. Get that, jar of face cream. Here's that NFL football. And once you get, and crunch the numbers and see what your anticipated profit is going to be on a monthly basis, that is how you're able to, with a very good degree of accuracy, predict what your income is going to be and really have this steady, reliable income coming in on a regular basis. Because and I'm going to get to some of these things about what is the worst case scenario, but let's say you've got this flashlight in your pipeline, and something happens. Let's say this listing page, this product falls off and it's no longer selling however many it used to sell when you first identified it. What would you do then? Well, you would sell through your inventory, and then you probably would not buy more. You would move on to another one, whether you found another flashlight or just another product altogether. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to fall in love with these products or pick ones that you love or categories you love or toys your kids love or anything like that. We're looking for, pure numbers and making sure that it ticks the boxes, and that's it. And if one, falls out of the grid, then you move on to the next. And it's very, very simple. And in the meantime, you have very little exposure, right? Because you've only got a handful of products that you're have in inventory anyway. Whether it's 20 or 200, that's a far cry from several thousand, which is what you would have to have most likely for a lot of products anyways, a minimum order quantity if you were trying to private label them or buy direct from an actual manufacturer, right? So that's kind of how that all works. And that's the whole idea is that you scale this thing up. And you maybe want to start out with a number in your mind of how much money you would like to generate from this business, whether it's a side hustle for you or becomes a full-on business model that you just want to do as your mainstay from anywhere in the world, because you certainly can do this from anywhere in the world. And let's say that number is $8,000 a month. And let's say, after you get going, it takes you, 4 products to meet that number. And then one of them falls off and you get another one, but it doesn't quite meet 8. It's maybe only 700, 500. Maybe you're now going to need 5 products in order to do that. And once you do that and you're sitting back and you don't have a lot of work to do, because what is there to do? You've got the products in inventory there. It's all happening, done for you behind the scenes automatically. You're just going in, once a week or however often to check your inventory level and to make sure, do I need to place another order? Is it still, the numbers are still tracking? Maybe you want to do more research and find another one, because why wouldn't you, right? You're going to be in a position where in the beginning, you're maybe easing into it. Some people are going to go crazy and go, get a whole bunch all at once, and that's fine too. But, when you start out, you get your first bit of profit back. The smartest thing to do is just to put it all right back into new, buying more inventory of something. And you might get to a certain level, and maybe you're going to set this number in your mind before you even begin of, how much are you going to reinvest or what number do you have to be at for monthly profit before you start taking some of that profit and putting it into your lifestyle, into your day to day, instead of all back into the business. Because at some point you'll have to do that, right? And once you've done that for a while and it's operating, day after day, tick, 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 with very little effort on your part. You might just decide you want to, work this a couple hours a week, one day a week, and add another product or look for another product or another opportunity and make even more. Like, why not? If you would have all the tools at your disposal to do that. So it's something to keep in mind in any event. But just really quickly to sum up the 8 key benefits is that we start out by only buying products we know people are selling, and that eliminates so much of the risk, because in private label, you're hoping. There's checks and balances you go through in the beginning, and there's things that you do to identify what you see as a good product. But a lot can change by the time you get that thing manufactured and shipped into the country and then into inventory. And then you've also got the challenge of creating that listing page, that head trimmer page with all the nice images and all the good copywriting and all of that. You got to create that. And it doesn't happen fast. Like, I mean, maybe it's faster now with AI, but it's something that takes effort and takes, skill. And once you've even got that created, you then need to rank that sucker. So, there's a lot to do, and all of that risk is off your shoulders with this model. But not the least of which is that we're talking about a couple of week turnaround as opposed to probably a minimum of a couple of months in the private label. So we do already know that the products you're choosing are already selling. They're already high converting products, or they wouldn't be on the list and you wouldn't be choosing them. So that is a huge advantage that cannot be overstated enough. The eFormula people in the team and Aidan's team, they're doing all that grunt work for you. You don't have to pick up the phone and call. And literally, I'm talking about picking up the phone. It's not just emailing. You're going to have to, with the old model, right? The suppliers that you talk about not being taken seriously. Well, it's so easy to not even reply to an email, let alone to just say, sorry, we're full, or whatever the kiss off would be, right? And you don't have to deal with any of that, because his team has already got loads of relationships. I don't know how many suppliers. I don't know how many suppliers, but it's all US suppliers who are already there and entrenched and waiting to do business with you. More specifically, more business with Aidan, because you're going through him, right? That's basically how it's going to work. But the great thing is that you don't have to go through and do all of that. This whole thing operates on free traffic, which is insane, because if you've been following me for a while, I'm always talking about, no matter what you're selling or what service you're providing, it doesn't matter if it truly is the best in the world. It won't matter if nobody knows it's available. And that boils down to having traffic, having eyeballs on your offer. And that is no small thing. That is a full-time job for any business model. It really, really is, even though it's downplayed all the time. And people are saying we've got the easy system and everything else. And maybe that's true. Maybe it's easier today in some ways than it used to be, but you still have to do it in all these other models. So to have free traffic right there and not even have to think about it, or even if you do think about it, it's just going to be gravy. Wow. I mean, that's incredible. No supplier headaches. I pretty much kind of already went all through that. But it's also strategically purchasing inventory lowers the risk overall. So probably of those 4,000 products, there's probably some that, are that either already now or will be the key ones that, maybe there'll be a steady supply of that inventory in Aidan's warehouse all the time, because they just know it's such a good seller. There will always be somebody who wants to do that. So, but you not being one person buying whatever the minimum order quantity is. And by the way, these MOQs is what they're called, the minimum order quantity, where we saw 10 and 100 or 20 here and there, that even if you did get the time of day from somebody who's selling that, who's the supplier of that Wilson football, they're not going to sell you 10 of those. Okay. Aidan is saying he will do 10 because he already knows he can only buy a minimum. I don't even know, maybe 200 of those from a supplier. And he knows he's going to have enough people who are going to buy at least 10 that he can offer that. So that's another huge advantage, is that with this buyer's club, you're going to be able to get such small MOQs that are so easy. I mean, you don't feel like you're taking a giant risk when we're talking about a couple of $100, right? On some products. So that is a great advantage. The profit margins can be extremely high, and it's true. And I did want to talk about this a little bit, because with the profit margins, this model lets you enjoy a higher or a very similar profit margin than that you would get if you were the actual creator of it, or if the brand or a private label seller. And that's incredible, because usually, like, if you were selling these products on Amazon as an Amazon associate and getting the affiliate commission, you can count on that being, a couple of bucks, maybe, depending on the product. You will 10x it with this model by being by providing inventory and actually being a seller. So with these profit margins, generally speaking, I mean, what are they saying here? Net margins of the system on average are 10% to 50%. As a hypothetical example, $10,000 in sales could equate to $1,000 to $500 in profit, or $5,000 in profit. A good rule of thumb is 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Generally speaking, I mean, it's not going to be exact by any stretch, but you can look at any product for the most part, and you can say, okay, 1/3 of the retail price of that is going to be the manufacturing cost, the wholesale cost, right? Another third is going to be all the different fees that need to be paid in order for it to be sold. And the final third is generally could be your profit for the most part. Like I say, it will vary. There are going to be some that are going to be way less. There's going to be some that are going to be way more. But that's your kind of ballpark. And this is great, because there are private label sellers who are doing this all on their own, who are manufacturing products in China and bringing them in and taking on all that risk and all that workload for less than 25% margin, which could be wiped out in an instant if some unforeseen thing happened, which happens all the time. And when I was a private label seller, 2 things that happened to me that were really tough to deal with were Trump happened to be in power at the time, and he suddenly overnight he levied an additional 25% tax on almost all products coming out of China. Wow. That, I mean, a lot of people went out of business like right then and there, basically. I mean, unless you could weather through and ride through that. Another thing that happened was, the other thing that happened was Amazon suddenly decided that any product that had batteries, any kind of batteries in them, suddenly had to go to a special warehouse to be stored, to be under proper MSDS conditions, so that there was no hazardous issues happening and whatever. And what did that mean? It meant, I think it was something like an extra 3% I had to pay to store my products in that special warehouse. Like things like this. I'm just giving you the example so that you know they can come out of left field and you have no idea or way to mitigate it. So when you're operating with all that on your shoulders, all that risk on you with such a slim margin as 25%, that could be wiped out in an instant. In this model, wow, what would happen if you had a battery operated product and Amazon suddenly said that? Well, you probably would stop sending it into Amazon FBA if you were in the first place, or maybe you switch your product altogether. You sell through your, handful of units or a couple hundred units and move on. No big deal, right? So that is a huge, huge factor. You can definitely get super rapid results with this because you could join today. You could get access to the Buyers Club and the fast introductory training that exists. And you could make your first inventory order and be selling within like a week or two. Like that's how fast it could happen. I'm not saying you should, or that that's right for everybody, because there's certainly people who are going to want to go through every single module of training before you take one step, and that's fine. You can do that. You'll still be up and running faster than you would with almost all other business models because this turnaround time is so quick. And you can totally do this at part-time. And I will also add to that to say that one individual person can easily do this. You do not need a team of people, especially when you have Aidan's team backing you up. There's a word missing here. It's risk. Almost all the risk is removed. And we already talked about the profit margins. What can go wrong with this business? You could get too many sellers on one product. So right now we saw with that example with the DeWalt hedge trimmer that there were already 8 sellers. Who knows? I don't know how much that thing sells in a month. They could sell, 300 grand through, April through October in North America. It's possible. It could. Those kind of products do really well. And if there are too many sellers at some point, you might find that if another few came on, your profit would be reduced, your revenue would be reduced, and it might not be worth your while. Whatever that number is you decide for you, it'd be different for you than maybe it would be for me. Just whatever we decide. It's your business, it's your call, right? So, and these are things that you're going to go through the training and see how to figure out for yourself. But that is one thing that could potentially go wrong with this business model. One seller might lower his price, which is crazy, but it does happen. And that would probably mean, if that was the case, if that happened, it's just somebody who had one item to sell and they're not doing this as a business model. They're just trying to get rid of a used item. Well, the used ones will be less anyway, but they're trying to get rid of this one unit that they got, for a real good sale or whatever. And that's kind of a different model too. That's sort of, it's an arbitrage model. But when and if that happens, all you do is wait. And sooner it'll be sold and they'll be gone and you'll be back in business. So it's not a big deal at all. Sometimes a product will fall off. It'd be hard to imagine that the DeWalt hedge trimmer would fall off, but it probably would be more likely that maybe they would have a new model or the old model would get discontinued or something. But occasionally products do real well for a while, and then maybe they just start not doing as well for a number of different factors. It could be competition or other products that come on to compete with them, or new advancements that have not been introduced in the one that you're wholesaling. It could be so many different things, but it does happen. It's something that you would have to think about and be prepared for if it did. And if it did, what's the worst case scenario? No big deal. Sell through the products you have in inventory and don't order more. Just pick a new one. Like that's the thing, is it's so easy to react and to deal with potential issues that come up, which is great, right? Because instead of being stuck with thousands of products that you now have to pay to store and hope or move from one, I had a bunch once in inventory in Amazon. And in order for me to move them from Amazon and stop paying their high long-term storage fees, it was going to cost me money, right, to extract them from the inventory and put them on a truck and send them somewhere else. And then would be sending them back in as they get sold anyway. It's just, it can be a real problem. So this is something to keep in mind though. But another potential thing that can happen is maybe the product gets discontinued or the supplier goes out of business. I think the suppliers that Aidan is dealing with though, it's not really very likely that would happen. What could happen is if you did get resale rights from a smaller brand, and maybe they stopped, selling the product, they changed their line, they shut the doors, which is hard to believe, but maybe they would. Maybe they sold their business and the new owner does not want to wholesale anymore. Like there are times when this kind of thing can happen. And like I say, if that's the case, you just sell what you got and you move on to a new product. So it's definitely not a big problem. But the other thing is it might take longer than anticipated to sell. And this hedge trimmer is a great example. Even though I know in Aidan's training, he's going to talk a lot about seasonality and holiday times, things that can affect the amount of sales that a particular category of product would get based on the time of year. And so you factor that in when you're making your decision, whether it's when you're ordering inventory or deciding in the first place. And if you want to stock products that are seasonal, that's great. And you'll have bigger paydays fewer times a year. It's just a different way to approach it. So not a big deal. But of course, the big thing is that you need to know is that you're protected and guaranteed either way, whatever you do. If you're going to get into this program and you're really not going to know even with a demonstration like this, or if you watch Aidan demonstrate it as well, until you get in with your own fingers on your computer and start looking through that thing and start, going through the motions. And this is what he's done to make it a no-brainer for you, because you're 100% guaranteed. He's got a 30-day no risk money back guarantee. And let's just read here. What does he said? If you change your mind for any reason, they will refund the purchase. No problem. And why can he do this? Because the huge amount of value in his system is in his software of the Buyers Club and in his warehouse. And you can't access that if you're not in the program. So you can come in and have a look at the Buyers Club and do all of that and think, oh, I'm just going to go get a couple of good ideas and then I'll leave. I'll get my money back and I'll go do it myself. Well, again, you're going to run into the problem of good luck getting those suppliers to deal with you. That's the huge problem. So that's why he can just offer you 100% guaranteed that money back. And I totally believe it. He will. And that's why, because it's not like the information he's got in there is great. The going through the steps and the modules and learning it from back to front is good, and you need that. But that's not where the real value in this program is. So, and yeah, many courses don't offer that. And they certainly don't offer unconditional, no questions asked. And most of the time you have to jump through some hoops or prove why it didn't work for you in order to get your money back. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that with that, you are in great hands with Aidan. Certainly anybody who joins, and the link is below this video. I'm going to give you some of my time to help you get going with this. That's my bonus to anybody who signs up with me. So you won't be alone, and you won't be alone anyway, because you're going to have Aidan's team, and he's got, I think it's 8 live weekly Q&As that he's doing as well. And that also just helps you keep on track, right? So that you keep going and moving forward. That's the main thing. I think the reason why this is such a great program is because it moves you so quickly from where you are right now to being up and running. And in between here is where those delays and those procrastination and the roadblocks happen that keep people stuck and preventing them from actually even doing the thing. So I think that's why this is set up so well. If there's anything, if you've been a procrastinator in the past, or if you've had trouble, getting going or sticking with something, I think this is the thing for you, because you'll be surrounded by people, and the community too. There's a community of other students like you who are joining too, who are in exactly the same position, but who are getting very quick wins, because it won't take long before you get to the point where you get your product in inventory and you start selling. And there's nothing in the world more, well, maybe there is for some people, I don't know. There's nothing more motivating than making money to keep you on track and going forward to making more money. So yeah, I'll wrap this up. It's already gone way longer than I wanted it to, but reach out with any questions and I will try and do another one before this thing is done. Almost over, you guys. This is a real short window to get involved with this program, because he's shutting those doors, and probably they're not going to be open again this year. And he's even said that that's right from Aidan's his own words, because they're going to be busy doing the business model. This is just the time to get people in. So if you're, thinking about it, don't think long. And what do you have to think about anyway when everything is guaranteed? You can get in, and if you do decide it's not right for you, you can walk away with your money back in your pocket, no problem. So that would be my advice to you anyway. But reach out to me if you have any questions at all. Thanks.